Hello guys, what's up? So let's begin with today's session. So guys, today we are going to finish the concepts of supply. I hope that you are clear with the concepts of basics of GST. Now the main concepts are done of basics of GST, and even if you do that much, that is enough. Let's crack supply under GST. And in today's video, we will cover the supply ka concept, and in the next video, we will discuss about the questions of supply. Okay, let's begin with supply under GST. Now let's have the overview of this chapter. Number one, how many sections are there in this chapter? There are two sections, section number 7 and section number 8. Section number 7 talks about meaning and scope of supply, and section number 8 talks about mixed supply and composite supply. Okay, no problem. Now let's deep dive in that section number 7 as well. Topics which are covered in this particular chapter, and these are the topics which you need to do in this chapter. Number one, section number 7.1a, I will tell you everything. 7.1a, 7.1b, 7.1c, read with schedule 1, 7.1 bracket 1 capital A, read with schedule 2, 7.2, read with schedule 3, which is negative list. Section number 8, that is mixed supply and composite supply, and a lot of circulars. Okay, fine. So let's start with the session and let's start with the main chapter. First of all, before we discuss what is supply, we have to understand in GST, the taxable event is supply. If there is no supply, then in that case, you can't have any GST liability. But if you have any kind of supply, then in that case, that supply can either be taxable supply or that supply can be exempt supply. I'm repeating this once again. If there is no supply, there is no GST. But if there is a supply, there can be GST because that supply can either be a taxable supply or that supply can be an exempt supply. And we have to understand from this chapter whether this transaction is categorized under supply or no. In this chapter, we will not see whether GST will be applicable or no. In this chapter, we will see whether supply will be there or no. Understanding? So, sir, how do we understand whether the supply... Okay, we have identified this is supply. How to understand that that supply is a taxable supply? Is there any list for taxable supply? No, there is no list for taxable supply, but there is a list for exempt supplies. Right? So, if your transaction is falling under exempt supplies ka list, then in that case, that supply will be considered as exempt from tax. But if it is not falling in that particular list, which means that supply is going to be what? Taxable. Any transaction which is supply, which is not falling under exempt, will be considered as taxable. And if it is a taxable supply, GST will be applicable on that particular transaction. Superb. Okay, let's move ahead. As I said that, what are the topics which will be covered? Section number 7.1a. First, we'll talk about 7.1a. But before that, we will understand supply is a taxable event. Supply is a taxable event, and in this chapter we will not discuss anything about applicability of GST, but we will discuss about whether it is a supply or not. Now sir, which notes are you using? I'm using these notes where I have summarized the entire chapter in a few pages, but these notes have certain examples also. So that's why I think this PDF has 7 pages, but this has examples also. But if you remove the examples, you will find the main content of only 3 pages. And within 3 pages, we have covered the entire supply under GST. But we will do this supply chapter in the most detailed manner. Right? Okay. So before we move ahead with section number 7.1a, let's talk about certain important definitions. Number 1, goods. Okay. What is the meaning of goods under GST? Goods means every movable property. Okay, sir. Every movable property is goods. Matlab, this phone is also goods. This pen is also goods. This mic is also goods. This ring is also goods. Everything is goods. I can say this camera also. Camera is also goods. Yes, because every movable property is goods. Which specifically includes actionable claims. Now, what is the meaning of actionable claims? In simple words, unsecured debt is your actionable claims against which you can take an action. So unsecured debt, lottery, betting, gambling. So every movable property will include what? Actionable claims, but exclude something specific, which is money in circulation. Very important. Money in circulation. Money which is in circulation. 50 paisa, is it valid now? 25 paisa, okay, 50, leave 50. 25 paisa, is it valid now? 25 paisa is not valid. Is it goods now? Yes, that is goods. 25 paisa is goods because what is excluded? Money in circulation is excluded. So if I give 10 rupees to you, these are goods. 10 rupees is goods because it is in circulation. 25 paisa, sorry, money in circulation, 10 rupees. Are these goods? No, these are not goods because money has been excluded from the definition of movable property. If it is money in circulation, these are not goods. But if it is not in circulation, for example, 25 paisa, then those will be considered as goods. Perfect. Understood. Second point is security. Security means shares, debentures. These are securities. If you trade any security, then in that case, there will not be any GST. Perfect. It will not be considered as supply. So every movable property, including actionable claim, but excluding what? Money in circulation and security. Okay. So what is the meaning of service? Service means anything other than goods. Oh my goodness. Anything other than goods. If this is not goods, it will be considered as service. Can you tell me, as per the definition, sale of flat, what is it? Is it sale of goods? Flat. Is it sale of goods? No. But it will be considered as sale of service. It will be considered as supply of service. Q. Why is it? Why will it be considered as supply of service? Because services means anything other than goods. If this is not goods, it will be considered as what? Service. Which means sale of flat, of course, it is not goods. But as per the definition, it will be considered as supply of service. Yes, absolutely right. Okay, we'll read it. I will see, is there any exception which is given? So anything other than goods will be considered as services, which should not be money, which should not be security. Basically, which should not be goods, should not be money, should not be security. Basically, money and security have been excluded from the definition of goods also, and have been excluded from the definition of service also. Okay. Next point is conversion of money from one form or currency to another form or currency for a consideration, including use of money. So what is the meaning of this? Conversion of money from one form or currency to another form of or currency. In simple words, for example, I am okay, you have 100 rupees. You came to me and said, I'm the money changer. Okay, money exchange. You came to me and said, you want $1 of this 100 rupees. So what did I do? I gave you dollars worth 100 rupees. Now the point is, please try to understand. I gave you the dollar worth 100 rupees. So can I say I did conversion of money for you? Perfect. So for this, I charged some consideration from you. So whatever consideration, whatever survey, whatever supply I'm giving, it will be considered as service. Understanding, you have 100 rupee note, you want 10 rupee notes. You gave me 100 rupee and I give you 10 rupee notes. And for that, I charged consideration from you. Then in that case, it will be considered as service. But please try to understand, if you give me 100 and if I give you 10 rupee note and 10 notes like that, and I did not charge any consideration. So I did conversion from you, conversion for you, but it is without consideration. If it is without consideration, it will not be considered as service. It has to be for a consideration. Perfect. And the third part is consideration charge to facilitate or arrange the transactions in securities, for example, brokerage transactions. That will also be considered as services. Okay. Now, sir, what is section number 71A? Section number 71A specifically mentions about meaning of supply. What is the meaning of supply? If you satisfy three conditions, your transaction will be categorized under supply. What are the three conditions? Number one, it has to be best LDR. What is best LDR? B is barter, E is exchange, S is sale, and T is transfer. BEST, best. B is barter, exchange, sale, and transfer. L, double L. L is lease, L is license, D is disposal, and R is rental. Now, sir, is it exhaustive list or inclusive list? Sir, what is the meaning of exhaustive and inclusive? Exhaustive means supply means only this much. You can't go beyond this transaction or beyond this definition. But inclusive means this is just an example. Anything which is similar to this will also fall under the definition of supply. So this is an inclusive list and not exhaustive list. If you barter, that is also supply. If you exchange, that is also supply. If you sell, that is also supply. If you transfer, I will come to this point after some point of time. If you lease, if you give anything on lease, that is also supply. If you give anything on license, that is also supply. If you dispose, so transfer and dispose, I will discuss in detail. And if you give anything on rent, that is also a supply. Perfect. Understanding. So that will fall under point number one. If it is best LDR, there has second point is there has to be some kind of what? Consideration. There has to be some kind of consideration. And the third point is it should be in the course or furtherance of business. I should be having a business of selling that particular thing. Now, sir, I will take one simple example. I am into a business of selling these pens. I sell these pens to you. If I sell these pens, can I say this is whether this is supply or no? Let's understand. It is falling into the definition of supply. First condition is getting satisfied, sale. Second, for this, I'm charging consideration that is 1000 rupees. Perfect. And the third point is I'm in the core, I'm selling these pens in the course of business. And that's why I'm satisfying all the three conditions, and that's why it will be considered as supply. Understanding? This is point number one. Let's take another example. I have one AC which is installed in my house. Okay. And I said that this, I want to upgrade the AC now. I want to buy 5-star AC now. Okay, 5-star AC. And that's why I want to sell the old AC. I went to the shopkeeper and I asked the shopkeeper, I told the shopkeeper I want to sell this AC. And he said, okay, he will give me 20,000 rupees for that AC. So can I say I'm selling that AC to him? Yes. Will that be considered as supply? Let's see. Is it sale? Yes. Is there any consideration? Yes. But is it my business to sell these ACs? No. Am I selling these? Am I selling this AC in the course of my business? No. I'm selling this AC in the personal capacity, and that's why it will not be considered as supply, because third condition is what getting satisfied. Second and first condition are getting satisfied. Understanding? Perfect, ekdam? Okay. I will give you one more simple example. I gave you the example of this pen. I'm in the business of selling this pen. For example, I have one plant and machinery where that plant and machinery produces these pens. That plant and machinery produces these pens. Now I want to sell that plant and machinery which I'm using it for business. If I sell it, will that be considered as supply? So, is it a sale transaction? Yes. Am I charging any kind of consideration? Yes. And the third point is, am I having the business of selling that plant and machinery? No, but still, can I say that plant and machinery is getting used in my business, and whatever I'm selling, that is plant and machinery, it is my business asset. And even if I sell my business asset, it will also be falling in this particular third point. It will also be falling in this particular third point. Remember that it is in the course or furtherance of business. No need that I should be in that particular business. If I sell any business asset as well, I will fall under the third point. I hope you are understanding this, and I hope you are crystal clear with this transaction. So till now we have seen 71A. Under 71A, three conditions: best LDR. Second one is there has to be for a consideration. So there has to be some consideration, and it should be in the course or furtherance of business. Perfect. Okay, this is your 71A, and I have written the legal provision for you to understand what to write exactly. Perfect. Okay. Let's come to the next point, that is section number 71AA, that is supply by unincorporated body to its members. For example, there is one gymkhana. Okay, there is one gymkhana. The name of that gymkhana is Deccan Gymkhana. Okay. And there are certain members. If any unincorporated body provides any supply to its members for a consideration, then only it will be considered as supply. If Deccan Gymkhana provides any supply to this member, and if member pays some consideration for that, it will be considered as supply. But if Deccan Gymkhana provides any supply to its members without any consideration, then they say that it will not be considered as supply. It will not be considered as supply. So, how do you read section number 71AA? When an unincorporated body provides any service to its members for a consideration. When an unincorporated body provides any supply to its members for a consideration, it will be considered as supply. So till now we have seen two things. Section number 71A, where we have seen 3 points: best LDR. Second one is there has to be some kind of consideration. And the third point is it should be in the course or furtherance of business. 71AA in 71AA we saw when an unincorporated body provides any service to its members for a consideration, it will be considered as supply. So why did they introduce this particular concept? Because before introduction of this section, these members, or there was a stand which was taken that Gymkhana, that is unincorporated body, and members are the same. So any supply between this should not be taxable. But they said it is not like that. When an unincorporated body provides any supply and consideration is charged, it will be considered as supply. Understanding? And members and Deccan Gymkhana, that is unincorporated body, both are different. Okay, sir. No problem. Let's move ahead with the next point. Yes, 71A was this was 71A, 71AA. Next, let's talk about, okay, let's come here and try ticking the things which we are already done with. 71A, 71AA. I hope you are having some good revision. 71B. Let's come to 71B. What is 71B? 71B talks about importation of service. What am I doing? I am importing service, not goods. I'm importing service, not goods. Sir, why not goods? Because if I import goods, for me, customs duty will be applicable. For me, customs duty will be applicable for the goods. So customs duty is already there in case of goods. So in case of service, they are specifically charging it to tax under section 71B. Understanding? Okay. Now come here and let's see importation of service. This is very simple. I will draw it here so that you'll understand this in a better way. See, I'm saying that I'm importing certain service, right? If I import certain service for a consideration, I charged consideration. Sorry, that person charged consideration from me. I am importing, right? So supplier is outside India and I am importing. So if there is a consideration, I am using that service for my business or not for my business. It does not matter. It will always be considered as supply. Because government is saying that if you are availing the service or importing the service for a consideration, which means it is a commercial transaction, whether you're using it for business or not for your business, it will always be considered as supply. And this is the point, section number 71A. This point we will see from the recipient's perspective. Always remember one thing, in GST, you will think from supplier's perspective, whether it will be supply or no. It will be from supplier's perspective. But this section number 71B, we will talk from the recipient's perspective, who is actually importing the service. Whether this person is using, okay, this person is using it for business, this person is not using it for business, we have to see this from recipient's perspective. Perfect. Okay. If at the time of importation, consideration is charged, if it is for business or not for your business, it will be considered as supply. But if consideration is not charged, then in that case, we will see whether the services have been imported from a related party or from unrelated party. Or when I say related party, I'll tell you the meaning. Related party or distinct persons. I will tell you everything. Okay. I'm importing certain service that is without consideration. Perfect. If that is without consideration, I will see whether I'm importing from a related party or not from a related party, which means that person, is that person related to me? If yes, then I will follow it. Is that person not related to me? Then he will fall under here. Yes. So if government says that, see, consideration has to be there. Consideration has to be there. If there is no consideration, and if you have taken the services from an unrelated party, and that unrelated party has not charged any consideration from you, then in that case, this is a genuine transaction where he has not charged consideration, because that person is an unrelated party. And that's why, since it is a genuine transaction and since it does not have any consideration, that's why they said it will not be considered as supply. Because why the hell will unrelated party not charge any consideration from me? He should charge any consideration. And if he is not charging any consideration, which means this is a genuine transaction where he does not want to charge any consideration. I hope you are clear with this. Right? And if you are importing certain service without consideration, from a related party or distinct person, then we will see whether you have taken this service for your business or not for your business. It is what am I talking here? It is whose business? It is my business, recipient's business. Am I utilizing this service for my business? For example, interior decoration service. My brother stays in the UK. I stay in India. Okay, and he's my real brother and he's totally dependent on me. Of course, he will not charge any consideration. So for me, it is import of service taken from a related party. Now we will see whether I'm using that interior decoration service for my business or no. If it is for my business, it will be considered as supply. But if it is not for my business, it will not be considered as supply. I hope you are crystal clear with this point. You can read this. You can read this. I'll give you 1 minute to read this. Okay, done. So this is your section number 71B, importation of service. Now I'll give you one simple example. Okay. Let's try to solve this example. I want you to try this example now. Mrs. Rashi received legal advice for her personal problems and she paid £1,000 as legal fees to Miss Kirti of US and who is Rashi's friend. Okay. Always remember, whenever you'll get any question related to importation of service, you have to first think about the chart. Which is this chart? This chart is talking about, first of all, we need to identify whether it is with consideration or without consideration. If it is with consideration, irrespective of the fact whether it is for business or no, for my business or no, it does not matter. It will always be considered as supply. Look here. Mrs. Rashi received legal advice, which means importation of service for her personal problems, and she paid £10,000 as legal fees to Miss Kirti of US. Can I say £10,000? Pounds are involved, which means consideration is involved. It will always and always be considered as supply. It does not matter why that Rashi, Mrs. Rashi is importing that particular. It will always be considered as supply. Now, please try answering the second example. What will be your answer if both of them are real sisters and Mrs. Rashi receives legal advice for her business and she did not pay any consideration? Now, whenever again you will see any question related to importation of service, you first focus more on the chart. Is it with consideration? No. Is it without consideration? Yes, without consideration. If it is without consideration, next question we should ask, that is whether that person is my related party or no. So you can see here both are real sisters. So they are related parties. So without consideration, related parties. Now we will see whether Rashi has taken that imported that service for business purpose or not for business. So let's see if both are related sisters and Mrs. Rashi receives the credit for her business purpose. So can I say it is flowing like this without consideration from a related party for her business? It will be considered as understanding everything. Perfect. So it will be considered as supply. Perfect. Okay. Now, what is the legal provision? You can see the legal provision here. Now, first we need to identify what is the definition of related party and distinct persons. I will explain you. First of all, I will explain what is related party, and after some time, I will explain what is distinct person. Okay. What is related party? It is a one-time read. Okay, it is a one-time read. Such persons are directors of one another's business, which means I have a business, you have a business. I am a director of your business, and you are a director of my business. So, which means we both are considered as related parties to each other. Number one. Number two, such persons are legally recognized partners, which means there is a partnership firm and there are five partners. All the five partners are related parties to each other. Point number three, such persons are employer and employee. I'm the employer, you are the employee, we both are related parties. Third person controls, owns, holds, directly or indirectly, equal to or more than 25% of the voting rights. Third person controls, owns, holds, directly or indirectly, equal to or more than 25% of the voting rights. Just look here. This person is holding minimum 25% of A, and this person is holding, C is holding minimum 25% of B. If this is happening, then A and B will be considered as related parties. Correct? Because same person is holding more than 25% of two different persons, then these two different persons will be considered as related persons. Okay. One of them controls the other. Sir, the earlier point was the same, right? No, no, no. This is the meaning of control. Control can be of two types. That control can be in terms of percentage, and that control can be in terms of control of the directors or control of the management. So one of them controls the other. Now, A controls B, which means B does not take any decision without consulting A. All the, like, if we want to uh, add certain directors or remove certain directors of B, we will have to ask A for that. So can I say A is controlling the entire management of B? So A is controlling B. So A and B are related parties. Third person controls both of them. So earlier we saw 25%. And now we are saying C is controlling A and B is controlling B. C is controlling B. C is controlling A and C is controlling B. So A and B will be considered as related parties. Understanding? Okay. Such persons together control a third person. Now, earlier what used to happen is two persons were getting controlled by the third person, right? Now what is happening? These two persons are controlling the third person. So these two persons are known as related party. Understanding? Point number 7. Point number 8, according to me, is the most important point, and you need to remember this point at least. Such persons are the members of the same family. So what is the meaning of family? Family means if it is a spouse or children, whether they are dependent on me or no, they will always be considered as my related parties. They will always be considered as my related parties. If that person is my spouse, or if he's my child, if they are my children, whether they are dependent or not, they will be considered as my related. They will be considered as my family and ultimately related parties. Perfect, no problem. Okay, but specifically remember this: in case of parents, grandparents, brother, sister, parents, grandparents, brother, sister, only if they are dependent on me, then only they are my related parties or they are my family. Again, parents, grandparents, brother, sister, only when they are dependent on me, then only they are my family and they are my related parties. Are you understanding? Pakka? Okay. Now, I will ask you one simple question and I want you to answer this question. Please read this carefully. Okay. Amazing example. Self-made example. Mr. Amit is well settled in UK. Okay. He has a sister staying in Mumbai. So Amit is well settled in UK. He has a sister staying in Mumbai. She is a lawyer in Mumbai and plans to renovate her office premise. Plans to renovate her office premise. She avails interior decoration service from Mr. Amit, and for which he did not charge any consideration. Is it a supply? Okay. What do you think? What will be the answer? Now forget about everything. First identify, we are thinking under section 7(1)(b) from whose perspective? We are thinking from the recipient's perspective, yeah, or Amit's perspective. See, here Amit is staying outside India and sister is staying in UK. Sister is staying in India. Sister is staying in India. So we are thinking from whose perspective? We are thinking from sister's perspective. What is the first check you will have, whether it is with consideration or without consideration? So we understood it is without consideration. Perfect. If it is without consideration, then we have to see what it is. from a related party or not from a related party? Now, if you see the definition of related party, you'll understand the definition of family. What is the definition of family? Amit should be Amit should be dependent on sister. If Amit is dependent on sister, you can say that these both are related parties. What did we see here? We saw spouse, grandparents, brother, sister. If those parents, if those grandparents, if those brothers, and if those sisters are dependent on me, which means I'm the recipient here. In this case, can I say we are thinking from that sister's perspective? For the sister, for that sister, is Amit a related party? Is Amit dependent on that sister? If you see the question, Mr. Amit is well settled in UK. If Mr. Amit is well settled in UK, can I say that Amit is not dependent on sister? If Amit is not dependent on sister, which means Amit is not a related party for that sister. Perfect. So please understand, if it is without consideration and if it is from unrelated party, is it a supply? No, it will not considered as supply. Are you clear with this point? See here, check number two, whether Amit is related party or not for his sister. And for this, check the definition of family. Check whether Amit is dependent on his sister. Now, in this case, since Amit is well settled in UK, he is not dependent on his sister and thus not a family and does not fall in the definition of related party. So, if he is not falling into the definition of related party, then it will not be considered as supply. Okay. So this was your example, and this was our example for 7.1b. So how many sections did we see till now? We saw three sections, 7.1a, that is three conditions, best LDR, consideration, and it should be in the course of furtherance of business. 7.1AA is actually talking about if any unincorporated body provides any service to its members for a consideration, it will be considered as supply. 7.1b, importation of service, everybody will look here, everybody will look here, everybody will look here. Importation of service with consideration, it will be considered as supply, irrespective of the fact it is with consideration or sorry, it is for business or not for my business. But if it is without consideration, we will see whether the service have been imported from a related party or not from a related party. If it is not from a related party, it is not a supply. It is from a related party, I will see it is for my business or no. If it is for my business, it is a supply. If it is not for my business, it will not be considered as supply. Okay. 7.1a, 7.1b, double A, 7.1b. Let's move ahead with the next important part, that is section number 7.1c, ready with schedule 1. What is this 7.1c? 7.1c says, see, 7.1a says there has to be consideration. 7.1a says there has to be some kind of consideration. But 7.1c says there are certain transactions which are made without consideration. So if there is no consideration, actually it should not be considered as supply, but we will consider them as a supply, and this is an exception. This is an exception to section number 7.1a, where it is mentioned there has to be consideration, but 7.1c says even though there is no consideration, in 4 cases it will be considered as a supply. We will treat them as a supply, and that's why these supplies are known as deemed supply. Deemed supply. Actually, this is not a supply, but we are treating them as supply. Understanding? So, which are these transactions which are made without consideration will be considered as supply? Number one, okay, 4 points, TRIP. 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 T means transfer. If you transfer without consideration. R is related parties or distinct persons. I is importation of service. And P is principal agent relationship. First, we will talk about transfer. We will take one simple example of transfer. See here. This is there is one person, Amit. Amit is in the business of teaching, right? Teaching profession. Amit bought a laptop worth 1 lakh and he paid a GST of 10,000 rupees on that particular laptop. Assuming the rate is 10%. Better for the calculation purpose. Okay. Now the question is, If Amit is going to use that laptop for his business purpose, can I say Amit can claim the ITC of 10,000, everyone? Can Amit claim the ITC of 10,000? 100% yes, Amit can claim the ITC of 10,000 rupees. Okay. But if he should use it for his business purpose. But what happened is, one person came to me and his name was UV. Okay. He came to me and said, Sir, I don't have cash now. I don't have cash now. I said, okay, then you can't buy the lectures because this lecture is for 4,000 rupees. So you have to pay me 4,000 rupees. And if you don't have cash, that's okay. I'm a good person. I will give you 500 discount. I will give you 500 discount. So he said, sir, hey, I don't have I don't have 3,500 also. I said, no problem. I will give you another 500 discount. Pay 3,000. You said, hey, I don't have 3,000 also. Then I said, then I can't do anything. I don't have any option because I also have cost, right? Please try to understand. I also have cost. So I can't go below this because I have a lot of cost involved. You said, please, sir, please. And he, with teary eyes, he's just asking me and begging that, please, sir, can you please give me free of cost? Then after that, I understood the whole situation. I understood his, family background and everything. I understood that he's actually facing some problem. So I said, no problem. You take this lecture free of cost. Okay. So UV got this lecture free of cost. Next day, UV came to me and said, hey, sir, I don't have laptop also to watch. So I said, boss, you should have a laptop to watch the lectures. I have already given the lectures free of cost to you. So please watch the lectures on your laptop. You can watch the lectures on your phone also. So he said, hey, I don't have a phone also. Then I did one thing. Whatever laptop I had purchased for 1 lakh rupees, I had given the GST of 10,000 rupees. I donated, or you can say, I transferred that laptop to UV without consideration. Perfect. Perfect. So if I transfer it without consideration, am I using it for my business? Everyone, am I using it for my business? No. One day what happened? Government department came to me and knocked the door and asked, Amit Mahajan, what is happening? I said, sir, what is happening? I heard that you are into teaching profession. I said, yes, I'm into teaching profession. I heard that you bought a new laptop. And yes, sir, I bought a new laptop. I heard that you paid GST also. Yes, sir, I am a good citizen. I paid GST also. I heard that you have taken the ITC. Yes, sir, I am a businessman. I took the ITC also. I heard that you are using it for business purpose. I said, sir, I am not using it for business purpose. Then government says, if you are not using it for your business purpose, how the hell can you take the ITC of 10,000 rupees? If you want to take the ITC of 10,000 rupees, you should be using it for your business purpose. You're not using it for business purpose. You have to reverse this ITC of 10,000 rupees. Are you understanding this? You have to reverse the ITC of 10,000 rupees. Are you understanding this? Yes. And for that, what did they do? For reversing this ITC, they made one mechanism and they said that we will do one thing. Whatever transfer you have made, which is without consideration, you should not have taken the ITC, but you have already taken the ITC. So we will call this transaction as deemed supply. We will call this transaction as deemed supply. Sorry, deemed supply, and we will charge GST on this particular transaction. Now, sir, what are you saying? I am not understanding. If you see the GST rules, valuation rules, you will see one point that if the supply is made without consideration and if it is a transfer, the valuation rules mention what should be the exact open market value of this particular laptop. So basically, what government wants to do here, government wants to create my outward tax liability. So government is charging my outward tax, right? If government is charging my outward supply as taxable, which means, can I say, as per valuation rules, Amit will have to pay GST on this because they will identify one value and I will have to pay GST on that value. So for Amit, there is an outward tax and I have to pay that outward tax. And for paying that outward tax, I have two options. Option number one, I can take out that amount and pay that amount to the government as outward tax. Or if I already have the ITC, I will take that ITC, I will utilize that ITC against my outward tax. So if any rational person will utilize the ITC, right? So, for example, the open market value is 1 lakh rupees. If the open market value is 1 lakh rupees, can I say it will be deemed that Amit made a supply to UV where the value of supply is 1 lakh, and on that GST component comes to 10,000 rupees. Now, can I say Amit Mahajan will have to pay GST of 10,000 rupees to the government? Yes, but while he is paying 10,000 rupees, he will utilize this 10,000 rupees of ITC. So, can I say automatically by creating my notional outward supply, everybody understanding? By creating my notional outward supply, I'm able to utilize my ITC, which means I'm ultimately reversing my wrongly availed ITC. So for that, they created my outward tax, and for making a payment of that outward tax, I will utilize my ITC, which means which means I will reverse my wrongly availed ITC, which means my ITC will become zero. And this is how they're asking me to reverse the ITC. By considering this outward supply, which is without consideration, as deemed supply. So I'm explaining you this once again. If it is without consideration and if it is a transfer, then it will be considered as a deemed supply. They will identify the value of supply as per the valuation rules. Say for example, the value comes 1 lakh and GST liability comes as 10,000. So can I say it will be Amit's responsibility to pay 10,000 to the government? Yes. Now, while making a 10,000, of course, he has the ITC, so he will not pay out of his pocket. He will use his ITC. Can I say that he reversed this ITC by utilizing it? And that is what government wanted. And that's why they created the liability so that I will utilize the ITC, which means I will reverse the ITC. Understanding? Perfect. No problem. Okay. So, conditions to consider: transfer without consideration as deemed supply. Three conditions you'll remember. Number one, there has to be a transfer or disposal, of course. Such transfer and disposal has to be permanent in nature, and ITC should be availed on that. If ITC is not taken, if ITC is not taken, is there any concerning point for the government? If ITC is not taken, see, government is saying that if you're not using it for business and if you're selling it further without consideration as transfer, you should not have taken the ITC. If you've taken the ITC, then we will charge this transaction as a deemed supply. So you make a payment while utilizing the ITC. But if I have not taken the ITC here, if I have not taken the ITC here, is there any problem for the government? No problem for the government. So if there is no problem for the government, will they tax this? No, they will not tax this. They taxed this so that it will be an outward tax, so that you will be utilizing 10,000 against their outward tax. But if there is no ITC which is taken, there is no question of charging this outward tax as deemed supply. Are you understanding? Is everybody understanding? So three conditions you are going to remember for as theory purpose. If you're transferring any supply or if you're making any transfer without consideration, if these three conditions are satisfied, it will be considered as supply. There has to be a transfer or disposal. It has to be permanent in nature, and ITC should be availed on that. In ITC chapter, you will find certain points. See, it will not be considered as deemed supply if ITC is not availed and the ITC is blocked. If ITC is blocked for me, can I take the ITC? No. If I don't take the ITC, will my outward supply as transfer, will it be considered as deemed supply? No. No ITC, no deemed supply. Perfect. Everybody, I tried to go in depth so that you understand everything conceptually, so that you will be able to crack every question perfectly. Okay. The next point we have already seen. So T is done. The next point is, okay. Next point is, I will take importation of service. That is I. Importation of service. We have already done this. Sir, when did we do importation of service? Arey bhai, importation of service we saw here, no? Sir, without consideration? See, importation of service with consideration part is falling under 7(1)(b) because it is with consideration. But that this entire without consideration part, no, this is falling under section number 7(1)(c). And this we have already seen. Understanding? So this is done. So T is done and I is done. Now we need to do R and P. What is the meaning of R? Any transaction between two related parties will be considered as deemed supply. Any transaction between two related parties will be considered as deemed supply. Okay, this is fine. But Second point is any transaction done between two distinct persons will also be considered as deemed supply. Now we need to understand what is the meaning of this distinct person. Okay, this is written in section number 25. Okay, come here. Related party or distinct persons, any supply between two related parties or two distinct persons without consideration would be considered as deemed supply. What is the meaning of related parties, which is already discussed? What is the meaning of distinct persons, which is given under section 25? But I will make a good flow to understand distinct persons for you. Okay, look here. I will first give you the background. Let's first decode GSTIN. Now, this GSTIN has how many digits? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. It is a 15-digit GST number. GST number is 15 digits. Okay. First two digits are the state code. First two digits are the state code. Okay, first two digits. After that, you will have a PAN number of that particular person. That entity code will be there. So in that state, how many entities are there? Correct. So entity code will be there. There will be one default alphabet, and this will be one random number they will give you, that is a check code. Okay, no problem. This is your GST number. Now please understand, if there are two offices in different states registered under the same PAN, see, PAN will be one, and if your turnover, so you must have heard that if turnover crosses 20 lakhs, then in that case you have to take a registration. Now, for example, what is the meaning of turnover? For every state, this turnover needs to be considered? No. For every PAN, this turnover needs to be considered. This PAN can have multiple offices, one in Maharashtra, one in Gujarat. Understanding? So, while identifying the turnover, we will not just understand this independently, we will understand this together. Maharashtra's turnover is 15 lakhs, Gujarat's turnover is 6 lakhs. I will add everything in under this. So it will be 21 lakhs. And since it is exceeding 20 lakhs, for this PAN registration is mandatory. And when I say that for this PAN registration is mandatory, all the offices which are registered under the same PAN, they will have to take different registrations. They will have to take separate registrations. So, sir, if under one PAN, if there are 10 entities, they will have to take 10 different registrations in 10 different states. Yes, because as I told you, the first two digits are the state code. Understanding? So for every state, the state codes is going to be different. For 27 is the state code for Maharashtra. Understanding? Okay. Look here now. If there are two offices in different states registered under the same PAN, then different registrations are required to be taken for every state. Okay. Perfect. Please try to understand now. If there are two offices in one state there are two offices, then we have two options. Say, for example, I will take one example. In Maharashtra, there are two offices. One is in Mumbai and second one is in Pune. Okay. So in one state, there are two offices. Then I have two options. Option number one, I can take separate registrations for these two, but I'm not obliged. I'm not under obligation to take two separate registrations. For one state, I'm required to take only one registration. But if I want to take two separate registrations, I can take two separate registrations. Perfect. Eh? See, take one registration and consider one office as a principal place of business. You can say one office is principal place of business and other one is additional place of business. They can say that the option number one is what? They can take two separate registrations, or they can take only one registration where Mumbai is considered as principal place of business and Pune is considered as additional place of business. Perfect. I've written this here. See, take one registration and consider one office as principal place of business and other as additional place of business. Okay. Or take two separate registrations, but it is not mandatory. Okay, no problem. See, if it is intrastate supplies, I will explain you with this master chart. You must have done this once, but I'll just explain you with examples. See, there is one office in Mumbai and there is one office in Pune. If they have taken two separate registrations, then both these offices will be considered as distinct persons. Both these offices will be considered as distinct persons because in the eyes of law, these are two different persons. But if they have taken a single registration for both the offices, then these two offices are not considered as distinct persons. Again, I'm saying if it is intrastate, if it is intrastate, if these two are registered per se, in Maharashtra, there are two offices. You have an option of taking only one registration. But if you are taking two registration for two different entities and both are registered, then in that case, please try to understand both will be considered as distinct person. So any transaction between or any even a stock transfer which is happening from Mumbai office to Pune office, it will be considered as deemed supply because any transaction between two distinct persons without consideration will be considered as deemed supply. Are you understanding this? Okay. Now, understand one thing. Don't you think this is wrong? Because you are saying that Mumbai office is sending certain goods to be sold from Pune office to the customer. Correct? Now, what will happen is Mumbai office has certain goods. Mumbai office wants to sell the goods in Pune to Pune customers. That's why the goods are getting transferred to Pune office first, and then Pune office will sell it to the customer. Understanding? So they are saying that this is without consideration. Of course, it will be considered as deemed supply. Okay, this will be considered as deemed supply, and GST will be applicable on it. Which means in this transaction, even though it is without consideration, GST will be applicable on it. Now the point is, don't you think this is wrong in terms of like for Pune it is wrong because Pune will have to pay GST if not value, but GST it will have to pay. Yes. The point is, it is actually not wrong because when Pune is taking the inward supply, at that point of time, Pune is making a payment of GST, right? And when Pune office will sell it further to the customers, Pune office will charge GST. So can I say this is an outward supply, this is an outward tax, and this is an ITC? So can I say even though Pune office is paying the tax at the time of purchase, but Pune office will be able to take the ITC of that particular amount. So whenever for the outward supply which Pune is making, at that point of time, Pune office will be able to take the credit of this particular amount. So now tell me, is there anything wrong which is happening with Pune office? No. Even though right now Pune office is paying tax, but Pune office is going to get a credit of that particular amount. Okay, understood. The question is, why did they do this? Why did they charge this transaction as GST? Why did they charge GST on this transaction? Now, please try to understand. I'm teaching like a regular batch now. See, please understand when Mumbai office must have purchased the goods, Mumbai office must have paid the GST. Understand? Mumbai office must have paid the GST and Mumbai office must have taken the ITC. Yes. If there is no consideration and if there is no GST, then in that case, assume that there is no GST in this particular transaction. Now, Pune office is selling it further. Now, for Pune office, there is an outward supply and outward tax. Yes, for Pune office, there is an outward tax. Please tell me one thing. Does Pune office have any ITC? Does Pune office have any ITC? No. Pune office does not have any ITC. ITC, who is having the ITC? Mumbai office is having the ITC. It is whose outward supply? It is Pune's outward supply. Who had purchased the goods? Mumbai office had purchased the goods. So don't you think this ITC should be utilized against this outward supply? Yes, but ITC is claimed by this person and outward supply is of Pune office, and that's why we had to transfer this ITC to Pune somehow, and that's why they charged GST on this particular transaction. So that once the GST is charged, of course, For this person, there will be an outward tax minus ITC. So no problem. For this Pune office, there is an outward tax, and now there is some inward tax as well. Now, can I say to Pune office ITC has been transferred? Yes. Did you understand the reason? I tried my level best to explain you in uh, the most detailed manner, but I hope you are clear. Now come to the next point where, if you have not taken two separate registrations, if you have not taken two separate registrations and assuming that everything else remains the same, which means Mumbai office is taking the goods and it is getting transferred to Pune office, and Pune office is further selling it further. Please try to understand, if there is only one registration number, can I say, while even the Mumbai office is purchasing, registration number is the same, no? So can I say ITC will be available to this person only? So is there any, if there is any transfer from Mumbai office to Pune office, it will not be considered as deemed supply because these two are not distinct persons. Now the point is, when Pune office is selling it further, it will be sold in whose name? This GST number's name. You will use this GST number only. So can I say there will be an outward tax of this GST only, and there will be an ITC of this GST only. So is there any requirement of charging any GST where the goods are getting transferred from Mumbai office to Pune office if both are not registered? If there is there any requirement, there is absolutely no requirement because ITC is available on this number and outward tax is also of this number. Are you understanding? And that's why I will just tell you what it is exactly, what is the exact law, exam oriented if you have to understand now. If both the offices have taken two separate registrations, both are considered as distinct persons. If there is only one registration which is taken, then in that case, both these offices will not be considered as distinct persons. Okay, this is intrastate transaction which I discussed. Now let's talk about interstate transaction. In case of interstate transaction, say for example, in Maharashtra, Mumbai office is registered. Okay, supplier is registered. And I have another office in UP. Please try to understand, in case of interstate transaction, we don't see this point whether the recipient is registered or no. We don't see this point. We have to see one thing where the supplier is registered, and if it has another office in UP, whether UP is registered or unregistered, it does not matter. It will always be, these two offices will always be considered as deemed supply, and any transaction which is happening, any stock transfer for example, which is happening from Mumbai office which is registered to UP office, say for example Mumbai office to UP office, we have understood that this is distinct person because in interstate we don't see whether the recipient is registered or not. Okay, now we understood that UP office, for example, it is registered. So supplier also registered, recipient also registered, both are considered as distinct person. Now let's understand this with an example. There is some kind of uh, camera. For example, there is one camera which is getting transferred from Mumbai office to UP office and both are registered. Now, they have said that this is without consideration. That's why it will be considered as deemed supply, which means on which GST will be applicable. Now, we know that there is nothing wrong which is happening with UP office because UP office is what? Registered. And when UP office will sell it further or use it for its business, UP office will be able to get the ITC of this particular transaction. Okay. Sir, I understood this. UP office, for UP office, there is no problem. But what if UP office is unregistered? When UP office is unregistered, still you are saying that Mumbai office and UP office are still considered as distinct persons. Sir, it is wrong, no? Because from Mumbai office, the camera is getting transferred. Okay, for example, I'm into teaching. I have one classes in Mumbai. I have one classes in UP also. So please understand, if from Mumbai office, the camera is getting transferred to UP office, which is unregistered, you are calling this as distinct person. That's why, even though it is without consideration, it will be considered as a deemed supply and on which GST will be applicable. Now, if GST is applicable, can I say it will be a burden for this unregistered person, which is a UP office? Why? Because UP office, which is unregistered, will not be able to take the ITC of this. Now, sir, now you tell me. Now your logic will fail that recipient will get the ITC. Your recipient will not get the ITC because recipient is an unregistered person. But please try to understand, my friend, if UP office is unregistered, okay, I understood. And if UP office is in need of a camera, If UP office buys the camera from the third party, it is for 50,000 rupees. They will charge 5,000 as GST. Will UP office be able to take the ITC of 5,000? No. So, anyways, UP office, if it is unregistered, they take this camera from outside or they take this camera from Mumbai office. It is not going to change anything because it is not going to be what the UP office, you unregistered person, will never and ever get the ITC of that. Be it taken from Mumbai office or be it from outside. So, anyways, it was not going to get the ITC. So basically, there is nothing wrong which is happening in this case with UP office who is unregistered. Are you understanding? Perfect. So till now we have seen that in Maharashtra, if you have two offices, Mumbai and Pune, if they are registered persons, they will be considered as distinct persons. Intrastate, both should be registered. If they have taken only one registration, then in that case, they will not be considered as distinct persons. If it is interstate transaction, then in that case, UP office, be it registered or unregistered, it does not matter. They will always be considered as distinct persons. I hope you are clear. Perfect. Okay. Say, for example, now UP office is registered and UP office is transferring certain goods to Goa office who is into selling of alcohol. And of course, Goa office is unregistered. Will these entities be considered as distinct persons? Will these entities be considered as distinct persons? Is the question. The answer is yes, because for the transferor, that is UP office is registered. Please try to understand. UP office is not into selling of alcohol. UP office is not into selling of alcohol. UP office is in selling of chips, which can be had with alcohol. Understanding? So can I say UP office is not into alcohol? So UP office, if it is transferring chips to Goa office, both will be considered as distinct person because when it is interstate, we don't see whether recipient is registered or unregistered. Understanding everyone? This is the meaning of distinct persons. So any transaction between two distinct persons will be considered as deemed supply. And the last point is principal agent relationship. What is the principal agent relationship? Please try to understand here. There is one principal, there is one agent, and there is one customer. When principal will transfer certain goods to this agent, of course, it will be without consideration. They are saying that this principal is transferring the goods to agent without consideration. It will be considered as deemed supply. Why? And when it will be considered as deemed supply? When the invoice on the customer will be raised by this agent in his own name. When invoice on the customer will be raised by this agent in his own name, then in that case, this transaction will be considered as deemed supply. Why, sir? Because when agent is raising the invoice in his own name, can I say 1 lakh is charged in the name of agent and 10,000 ka GST will be charged in the name of the agent. So can I say there will be agent's outward tax of 10,000 rupees? Yes. And so even though this is charged to tax, even though this is charged to tax, agent will be able to take the ITC of that. Understanding? Are you understanding this? So when will this be considered as deemed supply? When the invoice on the customer is raised by the agent in his own name. Why? Because the goods must be purchased by the principal, and goods are actually getting sold in the name of the agent. ITC is available with the principal and outward tax is of the agent. So don't you think this agent should have the ITC? Yes, and that's why they made this transaction as a taxable transaction. And they transferred the ITC to this person. Are you understanding? Perfect. So for exam perspective, you will say when there is a transfer of goods from principal to agent which is without consideration, it will be considered as a deemed supply if the invoice of the goods is issued by the agent in his own name on the customer. If invoice on the customer is not raised by the agent, now it is whose outward tax? Principal's outward tax. Who has the ITC? Principal has the ITC. Can I say that agent does not need any ITC in this case? And that's why, will this be considered as deemed supply? No, because agent does not need any ITC to be transferred. And if it is without consideration, it will not be considered as deemed supply if invoice on the customer is raised by the principal and not the agent. So this will not be considered as deemed supply. Are you clear with this particular point? So these are the 5 points which I wanted to discuss in this part. 7.1c, supply without consideration has 4 points. Number one, trip. T is transfer. R is related party, any transaction between two related parties and distinct persons. I is importation of service, and P is principal agent relationships. Till now, we have seen four sections. Number one, it is section number 7.1a. Say that is three conditions. Section number 7.1 AA, that is any unincorporated body provides any supply to its members for a consideration. Section number 7.1b, that is importation of service for a consideration. 7.1c, read with schedule 1. Always say read with schedule 1. 7.1c. Please understand it has 4 points. TRIP, transfer, related party or distinct persons, importation of service, and P is principal to agent relationship. Any transfer without consideration or any transaction without consideration in case of these 4 points will be considered as deemed supply. And these were important 4 points. Understanding? Let's move ahead with the next point, that is section number 7.1a, read with schedule 2. What is the meaning of 7.1a, read with schedule 2? They have specifically mentioned what are the goods and what are the services. Will this be considered as goods or will this be considered as services? You have to just understand this. Okay, let's try to analyze. And this is very logical. This is very logical. You only tell me any transfer of title in goods. Okay, first of all. Okay. Sir, whether it is goods or whether it is services, anyways, GST is applicable in both, no? Then why are we determining whether it is goods or services? Because you will see in further chapters that the treatment of goods and treatment of services are different. Specifically in case of two chapters. Number one, time of supply, and number two, place of supply. Time of supply in case of goods is different. Time of supply in case of services is different. Place of supply in case of goods is different. Place of supply in case of services is different. And that's why we need to identify whether it is goods or services. Understanding? Let's see. Number one, any transfer of title in goods. Any transfer of title in goods, which means ownership has been transferred, right? So this is supply of goods. Simple. Any transfer for a temporary period without transfer of title in goods. Any transfer for a temporary period without transfer of title in goods. If it is given for a temporary period, it will be similar to renting service. It will be similar to renting, right? I have given this on rent, I'm going to get it back. So this will be what? Service and not goods. Okay, just 1 minute. My setup. Perfect. Okay. Still it is moving. Very good. Okay. Now it is better. Yes. Okay. So I was saying, just 1 minute. I'll just shift. Yeah. So this is the second point. Number one and number two. Number three, let's come to number three. Lease tenancy of immobile property. What do you think? Lease tenancy of immobile property. See, anything related to immobile property, it can't be goods. So it is going to be what? Services. Okay. So this is point number three. Point number four, services of job work. Job work. What is the meaning of job work? You want to stitch certain t-shirts. You are giving some material to me, raw material. Okay, cloth material. And you're asking me to stitch certain t-shirts. So I'm taking your materials, I'm working on your materials, and I'm giving you the t-shirts. So even though I'm giving you the t-shirts, can I say the cloth material was yours? The main point was the skill set which I have for providing or for making these t-shirts. And that's why it's a service and I did not give any goods to you. Point number four. Point number five, post liquidation of the company. There is a liquidation of the company and there are assets and those assets are transferred. If those assets are transferred, ultimately these are goods only, no? This will be considered as supply of goods. Correct? Point number 6, sale of goods on hire purchase basis. Sale of goods on hire purchase basis, which means, in simple words, what is the meaning of hire purchase basis? Right now, you're buying the goods. Right now, you're buying the goods. Okay. In case we take the goods on hire purchase, which means right now I'm not paying the whole amount. I will pay in installments. Say, for example, 5 years, I will pay the entire amount. Okay. This year, I will pay certain amount. Next year, basically in installments, I will make the payment. So can I say I'm making the payment or I'm purchasing the goods on hire purchase basis? So I'm selling the goods to you on hire purchase basis? Yes. The ownership is getting transferred after 5 years, but ultimately it is sale of goods only, no? So this is what supply of goods. Correct? Temporary transfer or permitting use or enjoyment of any intellectual property right. Temporary transfer has been made. It is what? Supply of service. Development design of software, of course, supply of service. Non-compete agreement. I will give you a simple example. I always give this example. Now, I teach DT as well. Now, BB sir also teaches DT. BB sir has given me 10 crore rupees for not teaching DT. For not teaching DT. So, can I say BB sir has asked me not to do something? Correct? So, BB sir has killed the competition. Yes, it is just an example. Okay, BB sir has not given me anything. So, BB sir has given me 10 crores for not teaching DT, which means, can I say they are giving me money for not having any competition? Yes. So, can I say this is a non-compete agreement? Yes. If it is a non-compete agreement, it is a supply of goods or service, it is supply of service. Next point is works contract. What is the meaning of works contract? Works contract is construction, tak tuk service, construction service. If it is a construction service, right, then goods are also getting used, and there is also there is some service also. So what is it? Goods or service? They have clarified that this is service, and same in case of restaurant service. In restaurant also, if you want to have pav bhaji, you will need pav, you will need potatoes, you will need tomatoes, everything you'll need. So these are goods, but you need services also. So what is more significant? The significant value comes from the service, because you need skill set to make certain out of these materials. So that's why it's a service. Understanding? Okay, this is your 7.1a. Now let's move ahead with the next part, that is 7.2 Redway Schedule 3, which is a negative list. If you see 7.2 Redway Schedule 3, first of all, we have done till now 7.1a, we have done 7.1 AA, we have done 7.1c Redway Schedule 1, we have done 7 bracket 1a Redway Schedule 2, 7.1b also we have done, right? 7.1b also. And now we are looking at 7.2 Redway Schedule 3, which is negative list, which means these are neither goods nor services. On this, GST cannot be applicable. Number one, employment. Understand one thing. Just remember one thing. If there is any kind of service within the employment, if there is an employment agreement and within the employment, there is some kind of service which is given by the employer to the employee or employer to the employee, by the employee to the employer or employer to the employee. So any service which is given by the employee to the employer under employment, if the answer is yes, it will not be considered as supply because it is there in the negative list. Employment part always comes under negative list. But employee has provided certain service to the employer which is not under employment, which means I am being hired for tax, but I'm giving some audit service as well. So even though employee is giving service to employer, but since it is not under employment, it will be considered as what? Supply. Same in case of employer to employee service. Employer provides any service to employee under employment, it will not be considered as supply. If it is not under employment, it will be considered as supply. Okay. If employer has given gift to the employee out of love and affection, employer has given gift to the employee up to 50,000, it is not a supply. But beyond 50,000, entire amount will be considered as supply. Perfect. Okay. This was your employment point. Second point is in that there is one more point. You can see some daily workers, casual workers. You will treat them as employees only. You'll treat them at par with employees. Why? Because of course, daily workers and casual workers do not have any employment agreement. So if you don't have any employment agreement, you will not treat them as employees or what? No, you will treat them as employees for GST purpose, which means whatever services is given by them, it will be considered that that is under employment and there will not be any GST. Understanding? Okay. Compensation for premature termination. What is the meaning of premature termination? I'm the employer, you are the employee. I hired you with a lot of expectations. You are coming to office at 11 o'clock. You are going to have coffee till 11:30. You are coming back and you're working for 1 hour, then you feel hungry at 12:30. Then again you leave for your lunch for at 12:30 and you come back at 2 o'clock. Then again you work for 1 hour and you crave for coffee once again. Then you again go to have coffee. Then you again come back. You again work for 1 hour and after that you feel hungry for evening snacks. And you again go to evening for evening snacks. You again come back and it's already 8 o'clock and that's why you leave for home. I had hired you as an asset and now you are becoming a liability for me. Are you understanding? So I am asking you to leave. Chalo, 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 chalo. Leave this office immediately. But the point is, I am asking you to leave this office immediately, but we have an agreement of, or we have a bond of 3 years. Now I can't make you leave the office within 3 years. I have to wait for 3 years, and you also can't leave within 3 years. The point is, I am asking you to leave the office after 1 year. You are saying that you will leave the office if I pay you some premature termination compensation. So if I have to kick you out of the employment, I have to pay you some compensation. Will that compensation be will supply? It will be considered as supply. Whether it will be considered as supply? Answer is no. Why? Because until and unless I pay the compensation, you're not going to leave the office. So unless, okay, take an example, I pay you the compensation. So can I say before I was, so at the time of payment of the compensation, you are still my employee? You are still my employee, right? And that's why whatever compensation you're receiving, that is as an employee, and that's why GST will not be applicable, which means under employment itself, you are getting the compensation. So GST will not be perfect. This is the first point. Second point is services by any court or tribunal. Any service which is given by court or tribunal will not be considered as will not be considered as supply. Okay. Any services given by MPs, MLAs, or any constitutional body, okay, it will not be considered as supply. MPs, MLAs, MLCs not be considered as supply. Okay. One more point: if there is any director who is providing service to constitutional body, for example, MCA. What is the full form of MCA? Ministry of Corporate Affairs. If there is a chairman who is providing service to SEBI, that will fall under negative list. That will fall under negative list. Understanding? Sure, ekdam, no problem. Okay. 3 points under negative list: employment, court service, and MP, MLA, MLC service, and director is providing service to the constitutional body, or any chairperson is providing service to the constitutional body. Okay. These are the 3 negative list points. The fourth one is services of funeral, burial, crematorium, mortuary service, including transportation of the deceased. Funeral service, they charge some amount, no GST. If there is an ambulance or there is some vehicle which is used for transportation of deceased, that service is also not be considered as supply. Understanding? 4 points we have seen in negative list. Fifth point is actionable claims. They have excluded actionable claims. You will not charge GST on actionable claims, excluding, which means on this GST will be applicable. On this GST will be applicable. Number one, if it is lottery, gambling, betting, online gaming, horse racing, and casinos. If you are having these transactions, then it will be considered as supply and GST will be applicable. Understanding? Sure. So this is not there in the negative list. They have removed these points from the negative list. Let's come to an important point, that is sale of land and sale of building. Okay. Always remember, sale of land is not goods, but it is falling under the definition of service, as I told you. But it should not be service also, right? So that's why sale of land is not considered as supply, and GST will not be applicable. And GST will not be applicable. Understanding? Sure. Okay. So sale of land, not a supply, no GST will be applicable on sale of land. But in case of sale of building, GST can be applicable. Sir, how come? How come GST is applicable on sale of building? Understand? If it is a ready to move flat, which means entire construction is done, it is ready to move flat. Please tell me one thing. If it is ready to move flat, can I say there is no, it is not goods and there is no service also? It will fall under negative list because there is no construction element, there is no service element which is involved because construction is already completed. But if it is an under construction flat, I'm the constructor builder, you're coming to me and saying that you want to buy a flat. Okay, no problem. Now flat, is it goods? No. But can I say I'm providing construction service for you? I'm providing construction service to you, or I'm providing this construction for you. Can I say there is some kind of service element which is getting involved in this? So since there is some kind of service element which is getting involved, on this GST will be applicable. So can I say, if this is the completion date of construction, if I receive any amount prior to this date, which means you have booked the flat under construction. If it is under construction, which means I'm providing construction service to you. So GST will be applicable. But if on this date construction is completed and after that date you're coming to me and purchasing the flat, in this case, please try to understand here, whatever I'm selling that is ready to move flat, this is neither goods nor service because construction service has already been completed here. So how to identify this date? If you receive the amount prior to this date, supply will be considered. If you make the payment after this date, it will not be considered as supply. Understanding to how to identify this date? This date is earlier of completion certificate or earlier of occupation certificate, whichever is earlier. Completion certificate or on the date on which you will receive the occupation certificate, whichever is earlier. So you have received a CC, that is completion certificate on 1/7, and you can move in that flat. Occupation certificate is 7/7. Whichever is earlier is 1/7. So before 1/7, if I have received, I'm a builder. If I have received any consideration from you for booking of flat, GST will be applicable on that. Understanding? Sure. Okay. Let's take an example and let's try to find out whether you have understood this the concept or not. Okay. So you have to first freeze the date. Okay. Now CC is given, OC is given. Whatever amount is paid, that is 1 crore, and payment made is on 7/7/24. First of all, let's try to identify CC is on this date and OC is on this date. Whichever is earlier comes to 26/24. This is the date. Have I received the amount prior to this date? No, I have received the amount on 7/7. So can I say after completion of construction, which means it is not goods nor service. That's why there will not be any GST. Understanding? Second point, let's discuss. In the second point, first identify the date 6/7/24 or 1/7/24, whichever is earlier is 1/7/24. When did I receive the payment? 3/7/24. Can I say after? Yes, there will not be any GST. Okay. Now, when did I, okay, 1/7 and 1/7, whichever is earlier is 1/7. When did I receive the amount? 1/7. I received the amount after completion, on the date of completion only. So which means there will not be any GST. Prior to this date. Should be prior to this date. Fourth example. 5/7/24 and 1/7/24, whichever is earlier comes to 1/7/24. Now you have paid part payment prior to 1/7/24 and you have paid uh, part payment after 1/7/24. Now I want to ask one question. What do you think, according to you, what should be the answer? According to you, how much amount should be taxable under GST? 20 lakhs, 80 lakhs, or 1 crore? How much amount will be taxable under GST? 20 lakhs, 80 lakhs, or 1 crore? Think about it. Now you must be saying, or many of you must be saying, that sir, you have received consideration of 20 lakhs prior to 17, no? So there should be GST only on 20 lakhs. No, there will be GST on entire 1 crore because I you have booked the entire flat by paying this advance amount. So if you are paying the advance amount, are you booking only the toilet? No, you're booking the entire flat, right? If you're booking the entire flat, you have paid the advance amount for that entire flat, which is worth 1 crore. So can I say, on if you have paid on 26, 24, when the construction service is being given, at that point of time, you came to me and said that you want to buy this flat. Now I am providing this construction service to you. And please understand, you are giving this 20 lakh rupees for making this 1 crore flat. And that's why the GST will be applicable not on only 20 lakhs, it will be on entire. Understanding? Sure. Okay. And the last point is holding of shares by holding company of a subsidiary company, which means there is a holding company, there is a subsidiary company. If holding company transfers the shares of subsidiary company, there will not be any supply. Very simple. Why? Because it is not falling under, actually, it is not falling under supply ka definition and goods ka definition. Securities have been excluded, no? Sure. Okay. So these are the 7 negative list points. Number 1, which we saw, that is employment. Number 2, that is court and tribunal. Number 3, MP, MLA, MLC. On the right hand side, we have 4 points. Number 1, funeral, burial, crematorium. Yes. Number 2, that is actionable claims other than lottery, betting, gambling. Number 3, here it is land and building. And number 4, it is holding company and subsidiary company. Shares of holding company, sale of shares of subsidiary company by holding company. Are you understanding? Again, we'll repeat. Number 1, employment. Number 2, court, tribunal. Number 3, that is MP, MLA, MLC, and director is providing service to SEBI. Number 4, that is funeral, burial, crematorium. Number 5, it is talking about actionable claims. Number 6, that is land and building. And number 7, it is holding company, subsidiary company shares. So till now, we have seen how many sections? Till now, we have seen section number 71A, 71AA, 71B, 71C, 71A, and 72 read with schedule 3, which is a negative list. Right? And now we are moving ahead with the next part, that is section number 8, that is mixed and composite supply. And then we'll see the circulars. Perfect? Okay. Now let's move ahead with the next part, that is mixed and composite supply. Very simple example of mixed supply and composite supply. What is the meaning of composite supply? Okay. One day I went to buy one AC or microwave oven. I went in Chroma, okay, and I bought one microwave oven. Along with that, they said, okay, oven was worth 50,000 rupees. And they asked me to buy warranty also because anything can happen. So they gave me a warranty of 10,000. If you see independently on the value, the GST rate is 18%. And on the warranty, the GST rate is actually 28%. Example, 28%. And I paid how much? 60,000. Now, what will be the GST rate which is applicable on 60,000? Will it be independent? That is on 50, 18%, on 10, 28%, or highest rate will be applicable, or 18% will be applicable. Please try to understand. This is called as composite supply, where 2 or more supplies are given in conjunction with each other, okay, and one of which is a principal supply. Can I say this microwave oven is a principal supply in this case? Microwave oven is a principal supply, and this warranty is a secondary supply, ancillary supply. So in this case, which rate will be applicable? The rate of principal supply will be applicable, that is 18%. So in this is the example of composite supply, where two or more supplies are made in conjunction with each other, which are naturally bundled. Which means I can't just go to Chroma and say, I just want warranty today. I don't want anything else. I want to buy warranty. I can't do that. If I can't do that, can I say warranty is ancillary and main supply is microwave oven? So can I say these are naturally bundled? Yes, because this supply is dependent upon the original supply. So again, two or more taxable supplies made in conjunction with each other, which are naturally bundled, and one of which is a principal supply. Understanding? Then it will be treated as a supply of principal supply, and the tax rate of principal supply will be applicable. Let's take an example: phone and warranty, train and food. Can you book a train or can you book a ticket only to have food? No, you have to book a train for the seat and then you can buy food. So these are naturally bundled. Hotel and laundry, correct? Now, what is the meaning of mixed supply? See, for your exam perspective, 4 points you need to remember. Number one, two or more taxable supplies made in conjunction with each other, which are naturally bundled, and one of which is a principal supply. In case of mixed supply, what is happening? I will first give you the example. There is one rin, washing powder, and there is one bucket. And with rin, you are going to get bucket free of cost. And they're charging 100 rupees for that. The question is this a composite supply? No, because bucket can be sold independently and rin can be sold independently. It is not like I can't buy a bucket if I don't buy rin. It is not like that. And that's why, can I say these are not naturally bundled, but these are artificially bundled? Yes. So please remember, when two or more taxable supplies made in conjunction with each other for a single price, very important. What is the meaning of single price? Rin and bucket, both are sold for 100. This is called as single price. Where supply does not constitute a composite supply and the supplies are not naturally bundled. Understanding? Okay. Then in this case, what will be the tax rate? That highest tax rate will be applicable. So for example, on RIN, 18% is there, and on this bucket, 10% is there. Then on 100 rupees, 18% will be applicable. It will be treated as supply of that product or service which attracts highest rate of tax. So examples are RIN and bucket, or gift hamper. Now, what is the meaning of gift hamper? I'll give you an example of gift hamper. Now, I am married, okay? But my wife does not know that I have some extramarital affair. So, okay, this is just an example. I have some extramarital affair. So, what I'm doing is, I'm, I want to gift something to my girlfriend, okay? I want to gift something to my girlfriend, and nowadays this gift hamper thing is there. On that, gift hamper, they will tie a bow and everything, so they will make it very beautiful. Okay, for my beautiful girlfriend, I will do this. So don't tell this to my wife. Okay. So what did I do? First of all, I bought one biscuit, Parle G, Parle G. Then I got one chocolate. Then I bought certain flowers. Then I bought cold drink and I made a hamper of that. This. So if you see independently, Parle G is sold at 18%, like charged at 18%, chocolate 10%, flowers at 12%, and cold drink at 28%. And this entire hamper is getting sold for 1000 rupees. Is this a composite supply? No. Parle G can be bought independently, chocolate can be bought independently, flowers, cold drink can be bought independently. Can I say two or more supplies made in conjunction with each other for a single price and which are not naturally bundled? This is called as mixed supply. So on this 1000, highest rate will be applicable, that is 28%. Understanding everybody? Perfect. Okay. So 28% will be applicable, that is highest rate. So it will be treated as supply of that product or service which attracts highest rate of tax. Okay. Understood? Let's take one example. Which supply is this? I know you saw this, but still. AC 40,000, rate is 18%. Warranty 12%, 5,000. Total amount charged 45,000. Can I say two or more supplies are made in conjunction with each other, which are naturally bundled? Then in that case, it is called as composite supply. In case of composite supply, the tax rate of principal supply will be applicable, and the principal supply is AC, which is 18%. So on 45,000, 18% will be applicable. This is called as composite supply. Now let's take an example. I made one hamper for my girlfriend. So you can see these things in my hamper: Parleji, Good Day, belt, wallet, and chocolate. Correct. So these are the five things I bought, and I thought I will not make a hamper. I will not buy a hamper. I will buy these things independently. I will go home and I will make a hamper. And total invoice is 1,000 rupees. What do you think? This is composite supply or mixed supply? What do you think? This is composite supply or mixed supply? If you are saying, you are right, it is not a mix, it is not a composite supply. But if you are thinking it is a mixed supply, you are a fool. You are a fool. This is not a mixed supply. Why not? Because two or more supplies are made in conjunction with each other for a single price. For a single price, you will say, sir, single price is there, no 1,000. No, this is the total. This is the total. You have bought everything independently, those. You have bought everything independently. This is not neither mixed supply nor composite supply. Matlab, which means you are going to have tax on every point independently. 200 18%, 200 18%, 300 12%, 115, 228. Because it is not charged for a single price. But on the other hand, if I say gift hamper is purchased and invoice is looking like this, can I say two or more supplies are made in conjunction with each other for a single price? It will be considered as mixed supply. This is what similar to that if you go to a shopping mall and if you purchase, you will find this invoice, right? You'll get this invoice from that particular mall. So you can see the total also. I have one question. Is that a mixed supply? No, that is an independent supply. What is mixed supply? When two or more supplies are made in conjunction with each other for a single price. It will be considered as mixed supply. So highest rate, that is 18%. Sorry, in this case, 28% will be applicable. If the ingredients are the same, then highest rate of 28% will be applicable on 1,000. Are you clear with this part? Sure. Okay. Now we are left with certain circulars. Now before that, just take a quick break and then we will start with relevant circular. Take a short break of 5 minutes and then we will start with the circulars. Okay? Okay, guys, let's begin with the relevant circulars. Now, in the next 30 to 40 minutes, we'll try to finish this. First of all, license of alcoholic liquor. And say, for example, there is one, our coach Ravi Shastri, right? We had our coach Ravi Shastri. He feels that there is nothing in cricket now. There is nothing in cricket. He wants to start selling alcohol. That's why, of course, he goes to state government, and state government, of course, okay, he goes to the state government and he wants to buy a license for selling alcoholic liquor. Perfect. So, can I say that, of course, state government will charge some kind of license fees from Ravi Shastri? Yes. So, Ravi Shastri will pay fees to the state government, and state government will give license of alcohol to Ravi Shastri. The point is, will there be any GST on these fees which are paid? Now, they said that since this license is of alcoholic liquor, that's why there will not be any GST on these particular fees which are paid for license of alcohol. But if it is a different license, if it is a license of, yeah, say uh, telecom telecom का license है, then in that case there will be some kind of GST. So any other license GST will be applicable, but license in case of alcoholic liquor there will not be any GST. Next point, interstate movement of goods through various modes of conveyances. Again, interstate movement of goods through various modes of conveyances. What is the meaning of this? Interstate movement of goods through various modes of conveyances. Let's take an example. I have one office in Maharashtra. I have one office in Karnataka, and both are registered. I want to transfer certain stock from Maharashtra to Karnataka, right? So what did I do? I hired one, or I have one truck. So in that truck, I loaded all the goods and I transferred those goods from Maharashtra to Karnataka. But can I say these two are distinct persons, and any transaction between two distinct persons will be considered as redeemed supply? Yes. So there will be some kind of GST in this? Yes. So what happened is, when this truck was moving from Maharashtra to Karnataka, at the state border of Maharashtra, this truck was stopped, and the authorities asked this truck person, "What is this inside?" This truck person said that there are certain goods which are there inside. Is there an invoice? He said, "Yes, there is. There is some invoice. There is one invoice." Where is the invoice? So he showed that invoice to that authorities. The point is, we agree that there will be some GST which will be applicable on the goods. So that authority guy uh, asked this truck guy, "Have you paid GST on the goods?" He said, "Yes, sir, because these are distinct persons, and any transaction between two distinct persons will be considered as deemed supply. So there will be GST on this particular transaction." Okay. Now the point is, they said, "No, no, no, I'm not asking about the goods. You have paid the GST on these goods, very good. But for us, truck is also goods." Truck guy says, "What are you saying? This truck is also goods." If you see the definition, yes, any movable property is goods. So my point is, I'm asking this to the authorities. So you are saying that truck is getting transferred from Maharashtra to Karnataka. They will unload the goods. When the truck will come back to Maharashtra, again you will pay that GST on the value of truck. What are you saying? So do you think logically you should pay tax on the truck or no, truck value or no? Of course no. Of course we have to pay tax on the goods which are there in the truck, and don't consider the value of the truck, and don't consider truck as goods. Understanding? Otherwise in every trip you'll have to pay tax on the value of truck. Understanding? Okay, so please don't pay GST on the truck value. Please pay GST on the goods inside the. Second example, say for example, only truck is getting sent from Maharashtra to Karnataka for repairs. So they are saying that you charge GST only on repairs amount, don't charge GST on the truck ka value. Okay. But there will be some points where there is a big truck, and in that big truck, there are small trucks which are loaded. Now, can I say these trucks are the goods now? And the outer truck, which is a big truck, these are not considered as goods. But the trucks which are loaded will be considered as goods. On these trucks, there will be some GST. So when the trucks are the goods which are getting transported, GST will be applicable only on those trucks which are getting transported and not on the conveyance. On the conveyance, there will not be any GST. Okay. I told you in case of servicing, there will not be any GST on the truck value, but there will be some GST on the servicing cost. Perfect. Next point is in case of bus. Now, this is in case of transportation of goods. There can be transportation of persons also. Then in that case, if transportation service is given via bus, where the persons are getting transferred, or persons are getting transferred from transported from Maharashtra office to Karnataka office, then in that case, don't charge GST on bus value, but you can charge GST on the transportation service. Are you clear with this point, everybody? The first circular which we saw, that is license. Second circular is interstate movement of goods. There is one more exception to this, and the exception is if there is a transfer of rigs, big machineries, tools, spare parts, and all goods on wheels. For example, there is a spare part or tools which are there inside the truck. So do you have to pay GST on those spare parts also, on those tools also, toolkit? No. All goods on wheels, as in cranes. Cranes are getting moved from one state to another state. and again it will come back, right? So you don't need to pay GST on these particular things. Rigs, tools, spare parts, and all goods on wheels. You are not required to pay GST. This is the third. Fourth point is display of names and placing nameplates in the premises of charitable organization, hospitals, and institutions. For example, I want to donate some 10 crore rupees in one temple. I go to one temple, Balaji temple, and I donate 10 crore rupees in Balaji temple. And out of gratitude, they write my name on the nameplate that Amit Mahajan has donated 10 crores. That's it. Is this advertisement of my business that I paid 10 crores so that they will write my name and it will be an advertisement? Is this an advertisement for me? Is this an advertisement cost for me that I paid 10 crores so that they will write my name? This is not an advertisement. When I paid 10 crores, my intention was very clear. I had no expectation from the temple that they will write my name on the name board, right? So if I did not have any condition at the time of making a donation, can I say this can't be an advertisement? Because if it is a condition, then in that case you can say that, I paid 10 crores. I said that if you are going to write my name, then only I will pay 10 crores. Did I say this? No. It was not my condition. I paid 10 crores. Out of gratitude, they wrote my name. So even if they are not writing my name, I'm okay. Which means my intent is not advertisement. My intent is pure donation. And in this case, display of names and placing nameplates will not be considered as advertisement. Understanding? See, donors provide financial help to the charitable organizations, schools, hospitals, and old age homes. Okay, we provide donations. Number one. See, why have I given these 5 points? Because people know this. I know that you knew this point, but I know that you will fumble while writing the answer. And that's why what I've done is I have made these 5 magical sentences. You just write these 5 sentences in your exam. And this is very simple. I will make you remember this. Number one, donors provide financial help to the charitable organizations, schools, hospitals, and old age homes. Okay, we provide financial help. Number one. Number two, such institutions display the name of the donor to express the gratitude and public recognition of donors' act of philanthropy. You have to remember this. You have to what? Remember this. Please understand. Just give me 1 minute. Yeah. So you have to remember this sentence, and you have just remember that such institutions display the names of the donor to express the gratitude. Okay. First point is what? I provide donation or I provide financial help to charitable organizations. Number one. Number two, they write or they display the names of the donor to express the gratitude. Number two. Number three, it is not aimed at giving any kind of publicity. So whatever they're doing in point two, it is not aimed at giving any kind of publicity. Number three. Number four, there is no obligation on the part of the recipient to do anything in return. There was no obligation on the temple to write my name on the name board, which means there was no quid pro quo, right? And thus the donation would not be considered as supply. First point, everybody look here and let's try to remember this. Number one, donors provide financial help to charitable organizations. Number one, they display the names of the donor to express the gratitude, correct? The things which they are doing, that is writing the name, it is not aimed at giving any kind of publicity to the donor. Point number four, there is no obligation on the part of the recipient to do anything in return. And number five, thus this donation will not be considered as supply. You have to remember these 5 points. I'm telling you, consciously put efforts, consciously put 10-15 minutes to remember these sentences. You will be sorted, because questions usually they ask questions on this point. Perfect. So 4 points, 4 circulars which we saw. First circular is in relation to what? Liquor license. Second circular is in relation to interstate movement of goods. Third circular is in relation to rigs and tools spare parts. Fourth circular is in relation to display of names. Perfect. Everybody clear? No problem. Let's move ahead with the next part. That is artwork which is sent by artist to the galleries for exhibition is not a supply. Artwork. I have made the painting and I have sent this artwork from my house to the art gallery. Is this a supply? No. But if it is sold further, then it is supply. Why it is not a supply? Because my sending or my artwork is getting sent from my house to art galleries. It is there is no consideration which is involved in this, and that's why it is not a supply. But if it is sold further, it will be considered as supply. Understanding? Perfect. Okay. If it is not sold further, it is not a supply. Okay. One important point: circulars regarding composite supply. Okay. Please try to understand this point. Printing of books and pamphlets. Okay. What do you think? This is supply of goods or supply of service? I printed I printed the content. I gave you the books. Okay, I'm a printer basically. You have the content. I am printer. I have the pages, and I printing machine. I have. You gave me the content, and I printed that content and made a book, and I gave the book to you. Did I sell a book, or did I print your? Did I sell a book? Which means did I provide sale of books ka goods ka supply, or did I provide printing service? Did I sell goods to you in the form of books, or did I provide printing service? Please try to understand. If I'm saying that if I'm selling goods to you, if I say that it is sale of goods, which means the main worth of that book is pages. Is it like that? No. The main worth of those books is content. If you're not giving that content, those 100 pages are worth 100 rupees. But if you're giving that content, and since I'm printing that content on the paper, the value of those 100 papers is 1000 rupees because of that printing of content. Now, can I say the main supply is service, that is printing service? Because if printing is not there, the worth of those pages is nothing. And that's why I'm not selling the goods, I'm providing printing service to you. And this is called as supply of service. Understanding? Second point, printing envelope and cartons. I have an envelope. Okay, I am a stationery guy. You want to print your logo. You can see Amit Mahajan logo. You want to print that logo on the envelope and you want to purchase the envelope. So you came to my stationery shop and asked me to give some envelope. I said, okay, take this envelope. But you said you want to print that envelope, print that logo on the envelope. I said, no problem. So I took that logo PNG file. I printed that logo on the envelope and I sold that envelope to you. Did I sell the goods or did I provide printing service? Now, please try to understand. If I don't print your logo, is it going to change the worth of that particular envelope? No. The envelope use of that envelope is going to be the same. So can I say printing or not printing is not going to change the worth of that particular envelope? And that's why I sold envelope to you, which means I sold goods to you. It is not a supply of service. It is not a printing service. Understanding? Okay. Third point is retrading of tires. Now, what is the meaning of retrading of tires? Due to excessive use, the outer part of tire gets damaged. And that's why you need to, you can change the tire or you can put a rubber layer around the tire. So what I'm doing is, you are coming to me and giving the tire to me for retrading. So I'm putting that layer of rubber around the tire and I'm giving that giving that tire back to you, which is retraded tires. Now it is sale of goods or say provision of service. Please try to understand. I am providing service to you because it tire is yours. I'm just putting rubber layer on that. And the point is, now you can say that, sir, rubber is goods, no, but no. The main worth comes from, or the main skill set is in putting that rubber layer around the tire, and that's why this is service and not goods. Correct? Worth of rubber is not nothing, but the service of putting that rubber on the tire is a skill. Has a is important, and that requires skills. And the fourth point is supply of retreaded tires, which means you're coming to me. I have some retreaded tires ready and I'm selling those retreaded tires to you. Now, in that case, can I say this is considered a supply of goods? So, this is important. Please pay attention while understanding or while reading this sixth point. Cool. Okay. Circulars on supply of food and beverage, along with cinema tickets. Now, which is the latest movie which you have seen or which you have watched? Whatever it can be, you went on Book My Show and you booked a ticket. Okay. While you were booking a ticket, you chose two seats, whatever you and for your girlfriend, okay, or boyfriend, as the case may be. You chose two tickets, and after that, there is one more option of add-on food. Now, if you want to add on any food, you can just click on that one, two, three, four, whatever quantity you need. So you will so the value of the ticket is say 1,000 rupees, and you added 700 rupees popcorn. So they will charge 1,700. Yes, please understand, if you book your food along with your ticket, this will be considered as composite supply. This will be considered as composite supply, and the supply of principal supply has been made. This we will consider, which means the tax rate of movie ticket. What is the tax rate of movie ticket? Say, for example, 18%, and food, say, for example, it is 12%, but on 1700, 18% will be applicable because it will be considered as composite supply. Right? Understanding? See, if food is booked along with movie ticket, it is a composite supply, and the tax rate of ticket will be applicable. The tax rate of ticket will be applicable. But on the other hand, if food is not booked at the time of booking a movie ticket, which means when I went on Book My Show, I just booked a ticket. And when I went in the cinema hall, I purchased food. So can I say everything will be independent now? The ticket will be taxed separately and food will be taxed separately. So treat supply of food, please treat supply of food separately, and you have to treat supply of food as restaurant service, and 5% GST will be applicable on that. Understanding? So on the ticket value, rate of ticket will be applicable, and food value 5% because it is getting treated as restaurant service. And both will be treated independently if you are not booking food along with ticket. Understanding? Sure, no problem. Okay. Tenancy right, come to point number 8. Tenancy right, last 15-20 minutes. Pay attention. There is one owner of the flat, and this owner has given the tenancy right to this person called Harsh, who is a tenant. Now, what is the difference between uh, giving house on rent? So you are saying that he's paying rent. So this will be similar to giving house property on rent. No, see, tenancy right is usually for higher period, which means 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. Correct? So owner is giving the tenancy right to this tenant, that is Harsh, and Harsh is paying some kind of rent. Will there be any GST on that? Yes, there will be some GST. Okay. Now Harsh has a tenancy right. Harsh is selling the tenancy right to Piyush. Harsh sold this tenancy right to Piyush, and Piyush paid tenancy premium to Harsh. Will there be any GST liability? Again, the answer is yes. There will be some GST liability. Understanding? No problem. Okay. So if anything related to tenancy premium comes, GST will be applicable. Okay. The next part is taxability of sale of land after leveling, laying down of drainage lines, water pipeline, etc. Let's take an example. I sold one land and that land is worth 2 crores. But while selling the land, buyer said, I want the leveling service of that land as well. I said, no problem, I will charge 1 lakh more. So the value of land was 2 crore and the value of leveling was 1 lakh. So it is 2 crore, 1 lakh rupee, 2 crore, 1 lakh rupees. Correct? So what will be the taxability of this 2 crore, 1 lakh? Please understand, this will be considered as composite supply, and the tax rate of principal supply will be applicable. Which is the principal supply? Land is the principal supply. Whatever will be the taxability of land, which will be applicable on 2.01 crore. But we know that sale of land is not taxable and therefore there will not be any GST on leveling as well. There will not be any GST on leveling as well. Perfect, no problem. Okay. Now, some few points just for reading purpose. Taxability in certain cases, number one, in case of liquidated damages. What is the meaning of liquidated damages? You must have seen this in foundation. In foundation, we had seen this, that we are having an agreement. You have to sell some goods to me, and I have some contract with somebody else, and I have to take goods from you, and I'm going to sell these goods to the third person. Now, I have an obligation to that person to sell the goods. If I don't sell the goods to the third person, he will charge penalty from me of 10 lakh rupees. Okay. Now, can I say, I'm requesting you, boss, please deliver the goods to me because I have to fulfill another requirement as well, another contract as well. So I will take goods from you, I will deliver goods to them. If you don't give me the goods, I will not be able to deliver goods to them. So they will charge penalty of me, a penalty of 10 lakh rupees from me. Understanding? For example, you fail to deliver the goods to me on time. So that's why I am not able to deliver the goods to the third person. Correct? So he charged penalty to me. So can I say this loss I'm going to recover from you? Yes, this is called as liquidated damages, and liquidated damages is usually what? Not taxable, because it is a mere flow of money from one person. So you will pay 10 lakhs. That's it. So liquidated damages are not taxable. Okay. Second one is check dishonor. If there is any sign mismatch, bank will charge certain amount. So check will get dishonored. It is not taxable. Payment of penalty imposed on violation of laws. If you violate any law and you have to pay the penalty, no GST on that. Payment of bond amount by employee in the event of employee leaving the employment before minimum agreed period. Sir, we had seen that. We had seen this earlier. No, earlier we had seen that when the employer wants to kick employee out of the employment, your employee himself wants to leave the company within the period of 3 years. Then in that case, employer will say, boss, we have an agreement of 3 years. If you leave within 3 years, you have to pay me compensation. Before that, you can leave. So can I say, when you are making a payment of compensation to me, you are still my employee. I'm still your employer. So you are making a payment within the employment, and that's why it is not taxable. Perfect. Okay. Point number 5, fixed capacity charges for power, which means electricity. If you don't use electricity for 1 month, still you're going to get some minimum electricity bill. So can I say, if there is no GST on electricity, will there be any GST on fixed capacity charges? No. So that's why it is not, sorry, that's why it is not taxable. Perfect, no problem. Let's move ahead with the next part, and this is our last page. Taxability on cancellation charges. Now you take an example that you are making a plan with your friends to go to Goa. Okay, and of course the plan is going to get cancelled. Of course. So what happened is you booked a flight ticket. Okay, and you paid 10,000 rupees on that flight ticket, and you paid GST also. Okay. Now your friend said that he's not coming because his mom is not allowing. Another friend said that no, he's not feeling well. Another friend said no, he's not interested. Whatever it is. So basically, the plan got cancelled as expected. But I was expecting that this time it will happen. This time it will work. But nothing happened. Now the point is that if that plan has got cancelled, I have already booked a flight of 10,000 rupees and I've also paid the GST on that. Yes. Now I cancel the flight. And while cancelling the flight, I had to pay some amount, say 4,000 rupees as cancellation charges. If I'm paying 4,000 rupees as cancellation charges, what will be the GST applicability on that 4,000 rupees? The GST applicability on this is very simple. Whatever GST which was applicable at the time of main supply, the same GST rate which will be applicable on the cancellation charges. If the main supply is of flight, what was the GST rate which is applicable on flight? 18%. Same 18% will be applicable on cancellation charge. If the cancellation was of hotel, so whatever will be the hotel rate, GST rate on hotel, that same GST rate will be applicable on cancellation charges. So what is getting cancelled? That is more important. That GST rate will be applicable. Perfect. Okay. There is one concept of del credit agent, and after that, two more concepts. Okay. So what is the meaning of del credi agent? Okay. Try to understand one thing. Del credi agent. What is the meaning of agent? Okay. We have seen principal agent relationship, everything. See here. Principal to agent, whatever supply is made, which is without consideration, it will be considered as deemed supply if invoice on the customer has been raised by the agent in his own name. Again, whatever principal is making a when principal is making a supply to the agent, it will be considered as deemed supply even though it is without consideration if invoice on the customer is raised by the agent in his own name. This is the normal definition of agent, normal meaning or normal provisions of principal agent relationship. Correct? Okay. What is the meaning of del credi agent? Del credi agent means if customer fails to make a payment, then agent takes this responsibility of making a payment to the principal. And of course, in return, agent takes more commission because he's taking that responsibility. But that is irrelevant for the time being. Point is, if customer does not pay, agent will make a payment of that amount to the principal. Perfect? No problem? Okay. Now, please try to understand, when do I say the agent is a Schedule 1 agent? When do I say the agent is a Schedule 1 agent? Please understand one thing. When agent is raising the invoice on the customer in his own name, then this agent will be known as Schedule 1 agent. Perfect? And if it is a Schedule 1 agent, this supply will be considered as deemed supply. Perfect. What do you mean by Schedule 1 agent? When agent is raising an invoice on the customer in his own name. That's it. That agent is Schedule 1 agent. Okay. Now, just small background. DSA, the DCA, that is Del Credi agent, is an agent who guarantees the payment to the principal in case of failure of payment by the customer. Okay. If customer fails to make a payment, it will be considered that a short loan has been given to the customer by the DCA, which means, as I told you, that if customer does not pay, agent will make a payment. Say for example, customer did not pay. So agent had to make a payment, say for example, 10 lakh rupees to principal. Now, is agent going to sit like that only? Can I say agent will recover that amount from the customer, right? So can I say agent will recover this amount from the customer and this entire transaction will look like the agent has given loan to the customer and that customer needs to repay this loan along with interest. Perfect? Because on behalf of the customer, agent had paid the amount to the principal. Perfect? Look here. If the customer fails to make a payment, it will be treated that short-term loan was given to the customer by Del Credi agent. Now, Del Credi agent will also collect interest from the customer. Of course, correct? It is because it is treated as loan. In this entire point, what is the question? The question is whether interest will be added to the value of supply of the agent. Agent के value of supply में interest add होगा कि नहीं होगा? Okay. So, situation number one, if the agent is Schedule 1 agent, if agent is Schedule 1 agent, which means agent is raising the invoice in his own name on the customer. So can I say this customer will make a payment of value in the name of the agent and interest also which is getting paid by the customer to agent? So can I say value and interest, both the things are getting paid in the name of the agent? Understanding, because agent has raised the invoice in his own name. So value is to be paid to agent only. And interest is also getting paid to the agent only. So can I say this interest I can add to value of supply? Absolutely yes. I can add this interest to value of supply. Why? Because agent is a Schedule 1 agent where agent is raising the invoice in his own name. That is why a customer is making a payment of value. And since customer is making a payment of interest also to agent, we can just add interest to value of supply. Because this value and interest, both the things are getting paid in the name of agent. Understanding? But if I take situation number 2, where agent is not a Schedule 1 agent, which means Principal supplied certain goods to agent, but agent is not raising an invoice in the name of, in his own name on the customer. Okay. Now, who is raising the invoice then? Principal is raising the invoice. Okay. So, value of those particular goods. Can I say principal will pay in the name of the, sorry, customer will pay in the name of the principal? Yes, value of the goods. And customer will pay interest to agent because customer did not pay the amount, right? See, what happened? Principal made supply to agent, correct? Agent made supply to customer. But the invoice on the customer is raised by the principal. Okay. Now customer did not make a payment. That's why agent will have to make a payment to principal. Yes. So can I say agent? It is assumed that the agent has given short-term loan to customer. Yes. So customer say from customer, agent will recover interest also. Yes. The question is, will this interest be added to value of supply? You tell me one thing. In this case, is agent raising invoice in his own name? No. So can I say value ka payment is getting paid to the principal and interest ka payment it is getting paid to agent. So can we add this interest component in value of supply? No, because interest is getting paid to agent and value is actually getting paid in the name of what? Principal. And that's why interest paid to agent, value is payable in the name of the principal. That's why interest receivable by agent cannot be added to the value of supply of principal. Are you understanding this? Perfect. And that's why if it is so in general, just remember this. If it is a schedule 1 agent, interest to be added to value of supply because interest and value both are getting paid to the agent. If it is not a schedule 1 agent, interest is getting paid to the agent, but value of supply is getting paid to the principal. And that's why you don't add interest to value of supply. Understanding? Perfect. Last 5 minutes. Forfeiture of earnest money. Let's take an example of forfeiture of earnest money. What is the example here? There is one person called Saurabh who is a seller, and there is one person called Harsh who is a buyer of immovable property. Now, Saurabh made an agreement with Harsh, who is a buyer, to sell this immobile property on 10 crore rupees on 12/12/2025. The agreement made today, but the delivery, which means the possession will be available, that the main contract will happen on 12/12/25. Okay. For that, Harsh paid an advance of 1 crore rupees. Saurabh said that if you do not go ahead with the contract, then in that case, you can forget this 1 crore. I'm not going to give you this 1 crore back. This is the concept of forfeiture of advance money. And this was there in section number 51 of Income Tax Act, if you remember. So this is called as forfeiture of advance money. We need to identify the taxability of this 1 crore. Please try to understand taxability of this 1 crore. It will not be taxable. Why? Because it is mere flow of money by the buyer to the seller. There is nothing which is flowing from Saurabh to Harsh. There is only one way flow of money from Harsh to Saurabh. And that's why it will not be taxable. See here, if Harsh does not execute the contract, Saurabh will forfeit the advance. Income tax for Saurabh, yes, it will be taxable under section 51. Yes. What will be the GST liability on for advance money forfeiture? Answer is no, because it is mere flow of money by the buyer to the seller. Perfect. No problem. Okay. And the last point is no claim bonus. There is one person called Himanshu. He has a car and he has taken insurance of that car from the insurance company. So, of course, when Himanshu makes a payment of premium to this particular insurance company, he has to pay the GST. He has to pay the GST. Okay. So, in year one, the premium amount is 10,000. So, on 10,000, GST is paid. Okay. Now, if Himanshu does not claim any policy in the year one, matlab, which means nothing happened to Himanshu's car. Nothing happened to Himanshu's car. So, of course, Himanshu did not have any claim with the insurance company. Insurance company gets happy. Insurance company say, wow, 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 kya baat hai, wow, amazing, amazing. There is no claim from insurance. And that's why insurance company wants to give some kind of reward to Himanshu. And insurance company says, Himanshu, since you did not claim anything in year one, we want to give you no claim bonus. Okay. And practically speaking, no claim bonus can be of two ways. It can increase the insurance cover 5 lakhs ka 10 lakhs, or it can reduce the annual premium. Since you are paying 10,000, you pay only 9,000 now. Okay. In this GST, we are considering this reduction of annual premium. So here we are considering the second point. The question is whether no claim bonus be considered as supply. That 1,000 rupees of no claim bonus. Earlier you are paying 10,000, but you are getting a no claim bonus of 1,000. Now you are paying only 9,000. The question comes, will this 1,000 rupees of no claim bonus be considered as supply? The answer is no. It will not be considered as supply. If no claim bonus is of 1,000, premium for the next year is 9,000. So the value of supply will also be considered as 9,000. And this 1,000 rupees will not be considered as supply. Understanding perfect. Okay. And the last point which was there, which is not there in this, is preferential location charges. For example, there is one building here, and building has one sea facing flat here, and building has some slum facing flat here. There are some slums here. What do you think? Which flat will have more cost? Of course, this flat will have more cost, right? And this flat will have lesser cost. Now, let's identify the value. If I say the value is 1 crore, and preferential location charges PLC is actually 50 lakhs. Okay, so you are paying 1.50 crores. The question is, what will be the taxability of this 50 lakhs? We have already seen this. We have already seen some part of it. Preferential location charges will be treated just like your main supply, because this will be considered as a composite supply. So treatment of preferential location charges will be like your main sale of flat. If sale of flat is taxable, then preferential location charges will also be taxable at the same rate. If sale of flat is not taxable, preferential location charges will also be not taxable. Now it will be dependent upon the taxability of flat. Now remember, try to remember negative list. If that flat is sold under construction, that is prior to earlier of two dates, CC date and OC date, completion certificate or occupation certificate, whichever is earlier. Before this date, if you have received the compensation, if you have received any money for booking the flat, which means on this flat GST is applicable. If on this flat GST is applicable, this PLC is also applicable to or liable. If this PLC is also taxable at the same rate. Okay, preferential location charges. But if this entire flat is not taxable, which means you book this flat once the construction is completed. So there was no GST for this flat. So of course there will be no GST for this preferential location charges as well. And this was the amendment. So guys, so this is how we are done with supply under GST. And in this, we have seen multiple points here. 71A, we have seen that is in relation to three conditions of supply. 71AA, that is unincorporated body provides any service to its members for a consideration. 71B, that is talking about importation of service with consideration. 71C read with Schedule 1, talking about 4 points without consideration will also be considered as deemed supply. TRIP, T is transfer, R is related parties or distinct persons, I is importation of service without consideration, and P is principal agent relationship. Then we saw 71A read with Schedule 2, that is talking about what? That is talking about goods, yes sir, or service. 72 negative list read with Schedule 3. Negative list may we had seen 3 points here, 4 points here. Let's try to revise 3 points. Employment, court and tribunal, MP, MLA, MLC. 1, 2, 3, 4. First point is what? First point is funeral, burial, crematorium. Next is actionable claims are excluded, but lottery, betting, gambling are included. Sale of flats and holding company shares of subsidiary company. selling of shares of subsidiary company by a holding company. Perfect. That is given in negative list. Mixed supply, composite supply, we have already seen this. And circulars. Let's see which circulars did we see, and then we will close the lecture. In circulars, we saw, first of all, alcoholic liquor license, not taxable. Interstate movement of goods through various modes of conveyances. So the point is, don't charge GST on the modes of conveyances. Charge GST on the goods which are there inside the conveyances. After that, we saw interstate movement of rigs, tools, spare parts, and all goods on wheels. Display of nameplates. Then artists sent some artwork to the art galleries. Circulars related to composite supply, that printing of books and everything. Food, beverage. If you book your food along with ticket, then what will happen? Then taxability of tenancy rights, always taxable. Land and leveling charges, it will be treated as sale of land, which means not taxable. Taxability of certain cases, fine. Then cancellation charges, it will be dependent upon the taxability of cancellation charges will be dependent upon the main supply. What is the main supply? Flight cancellation. What is the main supply? Flight. GST rate on flight will be applicable on cancellation charges of flight. Okay. Del credit agent we saw. And after that we saw that is forfeiture of earnest money, not taxable because it is mere flow of money. And the next part was no claim bonus. So this is how we are done with the entire supply chapter. I hope that you are crystal clear with the concepts at least. After this lecture, I want you to go through the pocketbook once. So if you read the pocketbook once, you will remember every damn thing which we have learned in this chapter. So that's it for today, guys. In the next lecture, we are going to do the questions of supply under GST. It will be amazing. So uh, please do attend that question lecture as well, because that is going to be the game changer for you. Right? So that's it for today, guys. This is Amit Mahajan. I will see you in the next lecture. Till then, bye bye. See you and take care. Bye bye.